Okay, welcome to Word Without Walls. Welcome to the Thursday night this week, the Thursday night Sunlight service. This is Love Part 30. And the last couple of sermons have been about Jesus saying, I am the way and the truth. And then this week we're going to end that kind of little mini-series with the life. And again, the focus is that if Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, that means that love is the way, the truth, and the life. So we saw that love is the way, that we saw that love is the truth, and now we're going to look at the fact that love is the life. And I say this all the time, and I rant it all the time, and I preach it all the time, but sometimes I think it takes me a few times to say something before I really kind of know what I'm saying, so to speak. Especially when it's a revelation from God. Sometimes He'll just drop it on me, so I'll just release it. And sometimes it'll take me a little while to come into the fullness of it. But I say this all the time, and really this is my thought for tonight. To live is to love, and to love is to live. Okay? And I'm not just connecting those two things. I'm not just connecting living and loving. But what I'm saying is it's the same thing. You can't have one without the other because they're the same thing. And that's really what we're going to look at tonight, is not only that living is loving, but that His love gave us life. His love is our life. So, again, I already pretty much quoted it, but John chapter 14, verse 6, Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. And again, I think it's so important that we catch the distinction that Jesus makes when He says, no man cometh unto the Father but by me. Because see, what Jesus came to do is He came to show us the Father. He came to show us who God really is, and He came to show us who we really are. No man comes to the Father but by me. No man enters into this Father-Son relationship except through Jesus, who is the Son, who is God in the flesh, love in a body. So when He was talking about this, again, you know, if Jesus said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life, again, He was saying love is the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by love. Okay, it's all about love. Love is the relationship that connects us to God and connects us to one another. Because remember, the new commandment for the new man in the new covenant is love one another as Jesus loves us. Receive that love and then release it. Love God by loving each other with the love that He first loved us with. So I want to read before we get there, the word life in John 14:6, it's number 2222 in Strong's Greek Concordance, and it just literally means life or vitality. Basically, not being dead is what Jesus was saying here. And it's from the root word suke, which is number 5590 in Strong's Greek Concordance, which means breath or spirit. So it's literally the breath that we breathe, every breath we take, every move we make. Remember in the book of Acts, the Apostle Paul, who wrote Acts? Luke? He wrote, quoting I think Paul, he said, in Him we live and move and have our being. And then God always shows me that the reverse of that is also true, that in us He lives and moves and has His being. Okay, I don't like this idea of I'm living for God. I like the idea of I'm living by God. I'm living in Him and He's living in me, and together we are one. Just as life and love are one. They're not just connected, they don't just go hand in hand, but they're the same hand. In the same way that when I present my body as a living sacrifice, my hand is God's hand. He does what He wants to do through me. Okay? There's a power, the power of God works in me both to will and to do of His good pleasure. He puts the will in there and He puts the ability to do in there, but it all flows from Him. So we see that we're talking about the Spirit, we're talking about our breath, we're talking about literally, again, the difference between life and death. And as we're really going to get into in a minute, the difference, singular, the one word difference between life and death is love. Okay, if you have love, you're alive, and if you don't have love, then you're not. And really it even takes it a step further, because if you know and believe that you are loved, then you have life. If you don't know it, then you're not experiencing it. So, John 10:10, Jesus came for this reason. Jesus said, "The thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly." And the word life there, it's the same exact word that we saw in John 14:6. It's number 2222 in Strong's Greek Concordance, and again it means life or vitality. He came that we might have life. Jesus did not come to make evil people good. Jesus came to make dead people alive. He came that we might have life and have it more abundantly. He came to give us something better than what we had, something better than what we knew. He came to reveal to us a more excellent way, as we saw at the beginning of this little 3-part series. He came to tell us the truth, and He came to give us the life. He came to show us that there's something better than what we've ever been able to think of or ask for. There's something better available, and it's love. And when you have love, you have it all. I always say, Jesus did it all so we could get it all. And He did it all on the cross, and the all that we got because of the all that He did is Him. It's love. On the cross, He gave Himself for us, and He gave Himself to us. Jesus said the greatest expression of love that a man can have is to lay down his life for his friends. And then He went to the cross, and He did that very thing. He didn't just tell us what love is, He showed us what love is. He gave us love. He showed us the way. He showed us the truth. He showed us the life, and He gave us all of those things. And the word abundantly there is number 4053 in Strong's Greek Concordance, and it means in the sense of beyond, superabundant, superior, excessive, or beyond measure. Okay, the life as we know it, the life that we've accepted, the life where we struggle through a couple of years and then die, is not God's plan for us. God's plan is eternal, everlasting, abundant resurrection life. See, we think that death is the end of the story, and really, to a large degree, we've made peace with death. You know, we just say, well, everybody dies. Well, first of all, everybody doesn't die, because there were people in the Bible who didn't die. Enoch didn't die, right? And Elijah didn't die. They were swept up with God, or translated, or he did whatever He wanted to do with them. They didn't have to pass through the gates of death to get on to the next part. And if you see this, if you see that in the New Covenant, that we see that the last enemy to be defeated is death, well, Jesus already defeated that enemy. He defeated that enemy when He laid His life down, and then when He picked it back up. He defeated that enemy when on the cross we were crucified with Him, and then 3 days later we rose again with Him. Okay, we've already had 2 deaths. How many do we need? We died in Adam when Adam ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and God said, on the day that you eat of that tree, you will surely die. And again, that wasn't God threatening Adam. That wasn't God saying, I'm going to punish you. That was God saying, if you eat from the tree of death, the natural consequences of your action is death. And that's why God was warning him not to eat of it. Not because God was going to get mad and punish him, but because God wanted what was best for His kid. And what father doesn't want what's best for his kid? And so then at the appointed time, Jesus came and was lifted up on the cross and drew us all into Himself and died. And that was the second death. And that death was necessary so that the first death could die, so that sin could die, so that we could be released from the bondage of sin and death. Because as Paul wrote in the New Testament, the law doesn't apply to a dead man anymore. So we were released from all of that, and we were brought into something new. We were brought into a new covenant, a new life. We were brought into a relationship. No man comes to the Father but by me. And here now we know the Father, because we know the Son, because we know we are the Son. Because as He is, so are we in this world. Because now we have the Holy Spirit, we have the love receptor, now we can believe that He loves us. Now we can know it and believe it and receive it and release it. Now we can truly walk in newness of life. Now we can truly live because of His love. So that took me to Psalm 119, verse 50, which reads like this. This is my comfort in my affliction, for Thy word hath quickened me. And you know, to an Old Testament mindset, what you think is the Word, you think of as the Bible. But we know from John's Gospel, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. We know that the Word is Jesus. He quickened us in the midst of our affliction. He is our comfort, the God of all comfort. He is our peace. He is the rock that we stand on. He is knowing without a shadow of a doubt, no matter what comes against us, no matter what external circumstances, no matter what sickness, no matter what anything, no matter what comes against us, we know that it's okay because Daddy's got us covered. Daddy's got our back. Daddy loves us. Paul wrote at length about what could separate us from the love of God, and he came to the conclusion that nothing can separate us from the love of God. Even when we try to separate ourselves from it, even when we hide from His presence, even when we run from Him because we have a distorted view of Him and we think He's angry, He doesn't turn His back on us, He doesn't run from us, He stays right there with us. He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And we saw that a couple of weeks ago when we saw that love is a promise to stand with somebody, to endure with them, to bear up with them, to edify them and affirm them and say, even if you fall down, I'm going to pick you up. And not only will I pick you up, but I can keep you from falling. Just put your trust in me. And that's our comfort in our affliction. Remember, Jesus said, in this world you'll have tribulation, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. The world can't touch us. Jesus said, the prince of this world comes and finds nothing in me. There's no crack in our armor. There's no foothold that anybody can get in. The lie is meaningless when you know the truth. It's just words. It's just somebody accusing you. And listen, guys, you are not what somebody calls you, but you are what you answer to, because that's what you believe about yourself. And that's why Jesus came in human form, just like we are, and said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Okay, He showed us who we really are so we wouldn't have to believe those little voices that hiss in our ears. He came to show us that we are worthy of His love, and that we do have His love, and that His love is a Father's love. As a father, I can tell you, I don't love my son Logan because of what he does. I love Logan because of who he is, and because of who I am. I love him because he's my son, and I love him because I'm his father, period. And everything else that happens, whether he does what I want him to do, whether he doesn't, whether he makes mistakes, whether he has a good day, whether he has a bad day, none of that stuff makes me love him any more or any less. My love is just there for him because, again, not because of what he does, but because of who he is and because of who I am. Because he's alive, I love him. And again, that's what I'm trying to say. Life is love, and love is life. You can't have one without the other. And I think that's what it says in Ephesians chapter 2. So I want to read Ephesians 2, 1 through 6. In the King James it reads like this. And you hath He quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins. I think this is so important that we understand. Okay? We seem to think that the wages of sin is hell, but that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says the wages of sin is death. Okay, so what we're talking about is not necessarily a heaven and hell issue, but it's a life and death issue. It's not an afterlife issue, it's an eternal life issue. We were dead in our trespasses and sins. Remember Adam before the cross? Adam, man's representative? He sinned, he didn't believe God, he believed something else, and he acted out of that unbelief, and he ate from the wrong tree, and on that day he died. We were dead in our trespasses and sins before the cross. Everybody, all of humanity. Okay, but then He quickened us. And it doesn't say He will quicken you, it says He hath quickened you, who were dead in your trespasses and sins. Where in time past, and here's the key with this, time past really means before the cross, but in our individual lives, time past means before you knew what was what, before you knew the truth, before you knew the way, before you knew the life, before you knew Jesus. In time past, you walked according to the course of this world. Why did you do that? Because you didn't know any better. That was all you had, and you were trying to do the best you could with what you had, but you didn't have anything, so you couldn't do anything. Wherein in time past you walked according to the course of the world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lusts of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. But God, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us. Why did God do this? Because he loved us. Period. That's why. Why do I do everything that I do for my son? Because I love him. Because I want what's best for him. I don't want to see him struggle. I don't want to see him fail. I don't want to see him go through hardships. I want what's best for him because I love him. But God, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sins, has quickened us together with Christ. By grace ye are saved. See, he didn't just quicken us back to the life that Adam had before what is normally referred to as the fall. He didn't just push the reset button and say, here, try again, do better this time. He quickened us together with Christ. He didn't just give us life. He gave us Jesus' life. He gave us true life, real life, abundant life. He gave us superior life. He gave us life beyond measure. He gave us something so big that you can't measure it. Which I believe it's in the NIV version of the Bible in the book of Job. It talks about how all we know of God is just the outer fringes of his glory. He's so much bigger than we think he is. He's capable of so much more than we let him be capable of. Sometimes we put God in a box and we say, God, I'll try to handle this problem, but if I can't, then I'll break the glass in case of emergency. I'll call on you and be saved. And again, he will do that, but there's a more excellent way. And the more excellent way is don't wait until you have an emergency to call on God. Just again, give all your ways to him, and then he'll establish your path. So we see that because of his love, even when we were dead, he quickened us together. I'll say it again, Jesus did not come to make evil people good. Jesus was not a morality police who said, you're doing wrong, you better stop it. Jesus came to make dead people alive. He came to show us what was missing in our life. See, before the cross, we felt this God-shaped void inside of us, this love-shaped void where we knew that we needed something, but really we didn't even know what we needed. And we didn't know how to get it. But like Eve found out, we were willing to try to earn it. If somebody said, if you eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you can be like God, and her heart's desire was to be like God, she thought, that's fair. That sounds good. Obviously I'm not like God. Even though we were made in his image. She thought about herself, obviously I'm not like God. Obviously I'm just a dirty sinner. Obviously I need to clean myself up. And if I can get enough knowledge about good and evil, then I can do good, I can stop doing evil, and I can be accepted. But see, again, the problem is that none of that was true. We were already like him. We were made in his image. We just weren't conformed to the image of his son. We just didn't know what that image was. We didn't know what we looked like. We didn't know what he looked like. And again, that's why Jesus came, that we might have life and have it more abundantly. That we might come to the Father by him. We were dead in our trespasses and sins. And even though that was true, because of his love, he quickened us together with Christ. By grace ye are saved. Not by what you could do for yourself. Not by the law. Not by how you acted. By grace ye are saved. Verse 6 in Ephesians 2. And hath raised us up together, and made us sit together in heavenly places in Christ Jesus. So again, what we see here is we see that he came down and lifted us up. He didn't want us to try to get up to him. That's how humanity got in trouble with the Tower of Babel. They wanted to try to build a tower and make a name for themselves. And God was saying, you already have a name for yourselves, and it's my name. And you just don't know that yet. So here's what I'm going to do. At the appointed time, I'm going to give you a white stone. And it has a name on it that nobody knows until they receive it. And that name is Jesus. And we can only receive it through the Spirit. The Spirit of adoption, the Spirit of sonship, the Spirit of knowing who we are in Christ by knowing who Christ is in us. The Spirit, again, of life, of vitality, of breath. His breath. Remember in the beginning when God created Adam and he breathed the breath of life into his nostrils and Adam became a living soul? And then we fast forward to the New Testament and we see that Jesus breathed on the disciples and they received the Holy Spirit. Okay, so it was kind of a two-step process where first we had the breath of life and we were a living soul, and then we were moved out of that realm, out of that world, and into the kingdom, and we were given the Holy Spirit. We were given not just life, but His life. We were quickened together with Christ. Not just made alive, but made Christ alive, if I can say it that way. So now I want to, that's pretty much all I have to say today. I want to connect two verses that I absolutely love and that I think will hopefully really help us to understand this difference between life and death, this key truth that Jesus is life, love is life. It's not, I want more life, so I need more love, but it's if I don't have love, I don't have life. Okay, that's the change that Jesus made when on the cross. The cross didn't transform us into something that all of a sudden God could love. God is love. What else could He do? He always loved us, and He always will love us. What the cross did, the cross transformed us into something capable of receiving His love, capable of knowing His love, capable of believing His love. And that's what Jesus says in John chapter 5, verse 24. Jesus says, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word, and believeth on Him that sent me, hath everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life." So you see what the key here is? Hearing and believing on Him that sent me. Hearing the word. Remember, the word has quickened me. What's the word? Jesus. Love. He that hears the word, he that believes on the one who sent Jesus. Who sent Jesus? God, the Father. What is God? God is love. He that hears and believes on that, faith comes from hearing, and hearing from the word of God, the word about Christ, the word which is love. He that hears and believes love shall not come and has everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death into life. Death is where we were before the cross. Death is not coming for us because of what we've done. Death is where we were before the cross. We were dead in our trespasses and sins. And then by hearing the word and believing the word, we pass from death into life. From hearing His love, knowing His love, believing His love, we pass from death, where we were, into life, who He is. And I want to connect that with 1 John 3:14, which basically says the same thing. John writes in 1 John 3:14, the King James Version, John writes, "We know that we have passed from death into life, because we love the brethren. He that loveth not his brother abideth in death." So again, what you see here is that life, I'm telling you, unless you understand heaven as life and hell as death, as the place of the grave, the place of the dead, not eternal torment, not eternal punishment, but just simply heaven, life, hell, death, that's how things are a heaven and a hell issue. Because I'm convinced that really things are a life and death issue. Jesus didn't come about punishing people. He said, "I came not to condemn the world, but that through me the world might be saved." And what is it? I believe it's in the book of Matthew, when we see the genealogy of Jesus, they talk about Jesus coming to save us from our sins. He came to save us from unbelief. He came to save us from the death that we were already in and bring us into life. He saved us from the bondage of sin and death. And how did He do that? Through the Word. His Word quickened us. Even when we were dead, even when we were sinners, He quickened us together with Himself. He drew us into Himself. He gave us His life. He gave us His love. And now we know that we have passed. Remember, Jesus, before the cross, He said, if you do this, you will pass from death into life. If you know and believe, if you hear and believe the Word. And then John comes at it and says, we know that we have passed from death unto life because we love the brethren. That love has made all the difference. That love brought us out of death and into life. That love translated us out of the power of darkness and into the kingdom of God's dear Son. That love is what quickened us. Remember why Ephesians said that God quickened us? Because of His love for us. Period. And again, I'm convinced that that's why he does everything. Everything that I see Jesus do in the Bible, I see him do it because he was moved with compassion and motivated by love. He did what he did because he loves us. And he wanted us to know and experience that love. He didn't want us to be dead anymore. He wanted to make us alive. He came to give us life, and that more abundantly, that more superior, that more superabundant, that more excessive. See, we always want to just struggle along and just barely get by. And God said, I've got some excessive stuff for you. I've got way more than you need, way more than you can handle. Isn't that what it says, I believe in Malachi chapter 3, when God talks about opening the windows of heaven, which is us, and pouring out blessings that we won't even have room enough to receive? Like we're scraping by for just enough, and God's like, I'm an excessive God. You don't even know what's available to you, but if you knew, you might actually be able to receive it and release it. He wants to bless us to be a blessing. He wants to use us to bless those around us. And you can't give what you don't have. So if you don't think you have anything, then you can't really give anything. But every time you love somebody, that means that at least on some level, you believe that you are loved. Otherwise, how could you? How could you give what you don't have? But if you give it, that means that, again, at least on some level, you walk in faith and you believe, at least a little bit, that you are loved, that you have a little bit of love to give. And again, that's the difference between life and death. Okay? You can give without loving, but you can't love without giving. And you can't live without loving. He that loveth not his brother abideth in death. So that's why Jesus gave us his Spirit. He gave us his life. He gave us his love so that we could live. Truly live. Live not just the life that we had before him, but the life that we have in him. The life that we have because he is in us. I mean, we talk about Jesus lives in me, but then what we seem to think is that means that he has a tiny little compartment in us that he sits around in. No, it means he lives in us. It means what we do is what he is doing. Jesus said, I don't do anything unless I see my Father do it. I don't say anything unless I hear my Father say it. Jesus was so connected to the Father that the Father flowed freely through him. And that's what we have available to us because we've been filled to overflowing with that same love. That's why the new commandment is less of a commandment than really it is an empowerment. To say love one another as Jesus loves you. I can't love anybody else except how I know that Jesus loves me. I can't live except that I know that he is my life. So that's what I have for this week. Thank you as always for your attendance. Thank you for your support, for watching the videos and sharing the videos and the rants and everything. I thank you. I appreciate you. I love you, and I can't stop loving you. Amen.